So many countries are taking full advantage of the modern technology to improve the living standard of its citizens. And one of these countries is Ghana. In fact, the small country is ranked the fourth of the top most technological advanced country in Africa this year 2022. Ghana is digitalizing almost everything you could think of in the country, including schools, hospitals, health insurance, house addressing systems, and many more. One of the sectors the country is taking full advantage of the modern technology to digitalize is the country's economy and its currency. They have named the currency eCedi. This means the electronic version of their traditional currency. And that is what we want to talk about in this video today. Most countries are currently using digital version of their currencies. Example is Nigeria, Eastern Caribbean Union, India, Russia, Sweden, and others. There are now 105 countries that are exploring central bank digital currencies, and among them 50 countries are in advanced phase of digital currency exploration. Bank of Ghana introduced central bank digital currency last year 2021, and it is still being piloted in some parts of the country. Some people are complaining that Ghana's digital currency has delayed because Ghana announced its electronic currency way before Nigeria and other countries announced theirs, but Nigeria is officially using their e-Naira. But according to the Bank of Ghana, the reason why the eCedi has delayed is because most countries that are officially using electronic currencies are facing some challenges. So they are learning from their mistakes so that the eCedi can help build a robust, inclusive, competitive, and sustainable financial sector. Other people are also confused about how the eCedi is going to function, especially the mobile money stakeholders. They are afraid that the eCedi would disrupt their mobile money businesses since it will facilitate the digital payment industry and financial services just as the mobile money is already doing. So last week, MTN Ghana organized a mobile money stakeholders forum, of which they invited some dignitaries from the Bank of Ghana to explain everything about this eCedi to the Momo stakeholders and to Ghanaians as well. And one of them was Mr. Romeo Buje, who is the CEO of IT Consortium, and he was the one that gave us a clear picture of this eCedi and everything about it. So without wasting much of your time, let's go and listen to him. But before that, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more Ghana videos like this. Thank you very much for liking. Now let's get into it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I'm wondering what else I have to say, but it's I consider this as a very innovative thing that Bank of Ghana is doing, and to do this, I mean, just to be able to talk through this, I want us to just look a bit about the evolution of money. I know that has been talked about, and I want to place this in context of how this digital cedi or the CBDC is all about. I mean, we started with bartering where I determine the value of what I'm giving to you, and you determine what you are giving to me. So if I want to give you an iPhone, I determine what it is, and you determine what you are giving to me. We agree and we exchange. And then came to the aspect of central bank coming in when subsidiaries of individuals decided to issue notes. But then central bank comes in and create a value and a platform for the exchange of the notes. So we moved to the physical cash, which we've been using. And in here, it is the technology that was put around physical cash that allows us to be able to move into the digital space using the physical cash. So I remember when we started as a company and we wanted to enhance movement of cash, we brought a platform which we call Transflow that allows people to be able to go to the bank, make payment, digitally transfer that data to our schools and give value to the students and solve a lot of problems with the institutions. And doing that at that time, we used it to solve reconciliation issues, even though it brought up other things alongside. So with that, we came to this electronic payment. So electronic payment actually contains the eCedi or the notes that we are using as an exchange of goods and services. So if we look at these apps, the cards and everything, we are actually looking at the physical cash that has been transferred, that has been changed into data that allows us to be able to move. So when I move data from one point to another, the cash doesn't move. The cash stays, then after a while, the cash moves. So if I send money to Ghana, I'm actually sending data to Ghana. Then after a while, the money itself will come through the formal channels so that you can have value. But I promise you value. So the value that I've promised you becomes cost to me when you receive that money. And I guess these are some of the ways that we're trying to solve the problems that the Bank of Ghana talked about and Eli and others have talked about. So with this, then we move to this virtual currency. So even though the eCedi or the notes had been digitized, it is still backed by the physical cash. What we are trying to do at this point is to remove the physical cash. And removing of the physical cash started even before central banks started thinking about it. And that is where the cryptos came in. And I'm sure many people here would want to understand, then what is the difference between crypto and what we are talking about, the eCedi? Basically, they are the same. They are basically the same, but implementation is different. So we are all using the blockchain technology in this space. So I talk a little bit about if we use blockchain for exchange of money on the global stage, controlled by no one, it is crypto. If we use it in a silo, controlled by a regulator, then we are talking about a CBDC. So you realize that it is the same technology that we are using across, but this helps us to be able to control the risk that is associated with the global. So there are people who wonder, why don't we allow individuals to determine the value of what I produce? Like I said in the beginning, why don't you allow me to determine that this thing for me is this? It can buy your suits. And you say that, look, you can't buy my suit, so let's argue about it. And we come up to a point, and then we exchange goods and services. When we do that, what is going to happen is that we're going to have a lot of problems. Okay, and that is why stability of all these things come about. So even though blockchain is very important in what we are doing, which is the same as what we are talking about, we are, from the central bank perspective, bringing stability, trust, so that we will all be able to work under the same platform. So if I have a silo in Ghana and I have a silo in Nigeria, how do I make sure that the Central Bank of Nigeria controlling that and the Central Bank of Ghana controlling it can work together? So for us, looking at this eCedi, which we joined in a pilot, it is actually similar to the crypto. It's basically the same technology that is being used but applied differently. And so the eCedi physical then becomes eCedi digital. So we are not backing the eCedi we are not backing eCedi technically with the physical eCedi. We are actually converting that into a digital currency. And people have always asked me, so what is the difference between mobile money and eCedi? Are they not the same? But they are not. When you take mobile money, it contains currency, contains eCedi. So you have the physical eCedi sitting in the vault of a bank that has one-to-one with that data that represents you. At this time, we are not going to use the physical money sitting in a vault, but we are using the digital money that has been minted by the central bank that represents what you are doing. So in our implementation, we want to look at how, obviously, the PSPs or the fintech deals in this. One of the things that I think is very, very important is that when you take, and I think Clarence talked about the fact that we are using the tokenization, strategy for Ghana. So the tokens that are minted by central bank are the units. So it is actually in pesos. So the tokens that you have will be in pesos. So if I'm giving you 10,000, I'm actually giving you 10,000 tokens. 10,000 tokens, and that is what we deal with. That entity is anonymous, so we don't know. Even though from technology point of view, we can identify it. So it becomes the role of PSPs, fintechs, banks, and things like that to create an identity for this token that is being used. But at the base of it, we'll be able to track this single token that has been issued. So for this to work, then the PSPs create the interoperability between these silos that might be created, which we don't want to exist. Today, if I have $1 and I don't want any money to be linked to $1, I want my money to be eCedi and eCedi alone. But anytime you talk about it, it has to be linked to a particular currency. So when we create access between these silos that could be created, then it will allow us to be able to move these, tokens across silos and be able to track them. If today I give you physical cash, 100 Ghana cedi, that is it, you can't track it. And so people who don't want to be known like to use physical cash. If I give physical cash to you, that is it. But if I give a token to you, yes, Bank of Ghana might not want to be involved, but we should be able to track it, whether it is online or offline. So what is going to happen to the wallets that are going to be created, especially for fintechs and things like that? We will create it as a custodian wallet. It is, we don't carry technically the deposit liability, but just as a custodian wallet. And it is completely linked to the source that minted it. Yes. So PSPs would facilitate greater use participation at a lower cost. And especially for the fintech space, what will really happen is that all the hierarchies are going to be broken down. So when central bank mints money to an entity, that entity doesn't have to go through any other hierarchy to be able to make use of it. With that, if we're able to really do this, what is going to happen is that just as everybody in this country uses a physical cash, if we get to that point, what it will mean is that every entity in this country, every human being, will be able to access the eCedi. And if we achieve that, then obviously we achieve the financial inclusion that we are looking for. So even though it will run parallel with the physical cash, my view is that as time goes on, we will minimize the use of the physical cash and increase the use of the digital money. When mobile money first started, it was the same. A lot of people were just using it for cash out. But as the ecosystem grew, the fintechs, the PSPs started bringing different ways that people can do payment. What happened was that people now started keeping money on their wallet. I don't need to convert it to physical cash for me to make payment to someone, because there are agents, merchants that are on it that I can directly pay to. So I don't need to go and convert it to anything. I can always pay it to you. So during the pilot, that is what we try to do. So we have an app which Bank of Ghana helped us to get people using. I can then transfer eCedi to you. And I think all the speakers have talked about the settlement. For me, it's one of the biggest advantage of this digital currency that we are trying to implement. Today, if I pay anything to you, or you give me money to give it to someone, which we do a lot, when you give that money to me, and I tell you that the other person has it, it is because I have promised that person, and I carry that liability until I move the money to the person. So international money transfer, this is how it works. You take your card, you send the money, all we receive is data. When we receive the instruction here, we automatically move the money to the person's wallet. Why? Because we have money stored there. If there is no money, the transaction won't go. But the money itself would have to move from wherever it is coming to this country before it happens. But when we have digital currency, where you have countries linked on their silos, then what is going to happen is that if I'm sending a token to you, I'm actually sending a token based on an exchange rate that comes to you directly. And there are two ways we can do that. Either we are doing store of money where we are funding each country, or what we are doing is to be able to move it and reconcile later. But with the internal thing, what happens is that once the money moves, it moves to your wallet store. And that is it. Nobody does reconciliation when I give you cash and you give me service. No. And that is what is going to happen. Another example in investment. Today, if I give money for investment, the risk involved is that the money hasn't been given, but the investment company is obliged to give you value. What they do is that they do their mathematics and remove some days from it. You won't do the calculation, so you won't know. Even though they've told you that it is 30 days, really the 30 days is not what they give you. But now, if I give money for investment, immediately the investment can start. And that is, for me, it's a big advantage. Government tax. When we started, if you go back to the fiscal cash, when we started with banks collecting money, and then this money being sent to central bank, I think the best you can get by maybe 30 days for reconciliation before the money moves. Now we've been able to move it to 48 hours based on the fact that the money is actually there, held in a bank and things like that. But with this, when money is paid, government has their money instant. That creates good liquidity for the country. And the same for all of us. So when you send money to me, I have it immediately. And for us, as we build technology and use case for this, that will help us remove the inefficiency in settlement and allow people to have access to their money immediately. So learning points from the pilot. I've already talked about the settlement. And then, so what we did was that we have set up a number of merchants already on the app that allows you to be able to use eCedi to make payment. You can actually fund your mobile wallet with eCedi instantly. You can fund your mobile wallet with eCedi. You can move money, and one of the things that we've done also is to be able to create a link between the offline card and the online wallet, so that we will be able to exchange eCedi in between the wallet and the card. What happens is that if I am in a place where there is no network, nearness of the card allows me to be able to exchange money and to be able to fund my account. And this for us is a very good thing that will help us to be able to. So the offline model, which we piloted, the Bank of Ghana piloted in the Western region, really excited the people there. Because now, for them also, they are able to exchange money for goods and services without any massive infrastructure. And that is where we want to get to. So for us and for the fintechs and the technology people here, it's an exciting time for us. We are always faced with difficulties and challenges. And I believe that as we think through this, and after we come up with technology that allows us to be able to, move offline and online, trace the tokens that are being moved around, that will enhance transparency, traceability, and that will give us strong hold of avoiding people using currency for terrorism activities. Today, if I cash a bag full of money and I go distributing, you won't know. For where we are going, if I put money on a card for distribution, in a way we'll be able to track you and know where the tokens originated and where it is, so that in the moment it comes online, we'll be able to know. For cross-border payment, I think I've talked a bit about it, but this will be possible when the central banks begin to talk. Otherwise, what we are going to have is that we are still going to have the crypto overtaking us in everything we do, because they are already global. So as Nigeria goes live, Ghana piloting, I'm hoping that the central banks will be talking so that there will be a link between these two entities. So when I'm sending money to Nigeria, I'm not sending anything but tokens that are recognized in Nigeria, and vice versa. And what this will help us is making our sub-region closer and closer. The European Union is implementing a similar thing, but they start on a bigger plate because they are already using the single currency. We are still in our silos, and I think that this will be a way by which we can improve cross-border payment without having to go through all the hurdles that we are struggling with. So I challenge the central bank to begin to talk so that our citizens could make use of this and not have to wait another 20, 30 years for this. Thank you very much.